Good afternoon, everyone. We bring you yet another knowledge sharing session of Diversity Discussed, powered by India Diversity Forum. Diversity Discussed is an exclusive platform to engage our IDF members. Here, we discuss and deliberate on leading DNI initiatives and policies across India. Today's topic will focus on one community, many different experiences. In this session, we will discuss how Gen Z and younger millennials have a different attitude towards LGBTQ colleagues and communities. Do you see any positive trend? To discuss on this interesting topic, we have Mr. Viekas K Khokha, Head HR Dhanuka Agritech Ltd. Viekas Khokha has a rich experience of 23 years, spreading across four industries, including office automation, telecommunications, healthcare, and chemicals. Vikas is currently leading the HR function with Dhanuka Agritech Ltd, where he is channelizing their people and culture transformation agenda through organization design, talent transformation, and new ways of working. On behalf of India Diversity Forum, Vikas, thank you so much for accepting our invitation and sharing the insights with our members today. All over to you, Vikas.
Ketki, thank you first of all for inviting me here. And I think, as always said, I feel more empowered talking about this topic because of prime reasons. And you brought in a particular genre today, which relates to it and which is our future. So if you look at, some of our future leaders, right, they come out of that genre. And I really feel that there are lot of challenges when we talk of, we definitely, when in diversity discuss, we discuss of all other topics which are very much of relevance. But when we talk of the sexual orientation is something which is so much unsaid in India, and right from our childhood to the time we have matured, we would be able to give a lot of information about what is said is versus what should not be said. And I think we come from should and should not and get stuck into this. I am very delighted that I bring in my perspective today. And normally, I would keep it very, very discussion oriented, any topic. I would like to bring in a lot of perspectives in terms of how I have seen employees of today's genre relating to it. And how as a leader, suppose I'm an HR leader and there is another finance leader, there's another head of the organization. How do we all deal with these common points, right? When we bring that on, right? So I am also very much sensitive about how they feel and they react to it. So it will be a great opportunity. I can give my perspectives. I like to bring in the aspect of, what are the people feeling? What is organization feeling? How do we need to move ahead with this? I had recent interactions with few of the HR leaders on this. And when we compare to I think nothing to say that anything is very simple. But when I talk of a gender versus a sexual orientation, what are the different challenges an HR leader or another leader would face, today? First, I think the basic difference is that gender is defined, right? You have a definition of gender, right, across you. Sexual orientation is not defined, not talked about, not a common topic where you need to ask, we could ask anybody, right? You can't put it in an application form. In fact, organizations are staying away from even forcing people to conform to their sexual orientation. So people may keep it unsaid. So I think in light of all these gray areas, so many gray areas appear for leaders also. How as leaders we deal with this. These are some of my own points, basis my own experience from both sides of the table, here. And I would say that I like to seek from the members if they have any specific questions in this regard, more than happy to address. Kitkika, I'm just checking that I have about close to, as we are touching 3:30, so about 40-45 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'll take it on as you allowed me to go with the PPT this time. So I have prepared something which I could assimilate and give it out. So just checking that, is my slide visible? Okay, great. So what happens is, and I've assimilated all these points together, is something like what generally, when they talk of sexual orientation, it means for employees from the various generations, and these are some of the practical points came in from employees. What they feel is that if we are easing out the differences in various categories of sexual orientation, we are creating a better mental wellness, in the organizations. In fact, uh, when I talk of millennials, when I talk of people from various genres, I think mental wellness is one thing that people collectively feel comes out, because people are able to talk about it openly. They are able to relate to things openly, and they, you know uh, a lot of things which are inside you come out, and you feel that I am also normal, right? So called normal. So I think it leads to better, 100% better mental wellness. uh, I think the way people come out and they talk about it talks authentically of their partnership in organization success, is my second point. And I think very truly they are part of that journey. And a lot of people, if you see in all your organizations, people are there, but they are submissed. They are not coming out. So they are not truly part in that journey. They are still present. So I think this, as per what comes out from the millennials, this really helps them to be part of, truly a part of your journey and success. Now you see how much of underlying productivity can be brought in. Suppose we help people to bring out themselves. And today, the biggest challenge with all our leaders is that we do not even know how many people are there versus how many people are not there. So if people are not from the community, if people are from the community, we don't know. So anybody who's submissed is bound to compromise on the productivity. Uh, I would say that I'm relating it to better visibility. Better visibility in who am I in the organization really makes a difference to me. I feel more empowered. I feel more powerful. I can feel that I can control most of the levers in the organization because I am visible the way I am. Right. Uh, Endurance is one thing, I'm really talking of, because when you are not, when you are submissed, uh, there is a lot of weakness in what you present out, and that truly brings in that discomfort across, which makes you feel vulnerable most of the time. Uh, you are lesser resilient to like other people in the organization. You feel that you are not strong. You don't come out with new ideas. You don't experiment. You don't bring your creativity out, right? So I think greater endurance, which brings in, more of your authentic creativity for which you are standing, and you being present in the organization, really makes a difference. So I think when I talked of millennials, I did see that greater endurance coming in through people who are from the community. Again, safe space, I think it applies to all of us, but it more applies to the community members, because I remember that when there were discussions around sexuality particularly, and there were jokes cracked. You know, at that point of time, you feel very unsafe in organizations. You feel extremely, in the vulnerable space, and you feel that you should not be part of that, and you start avoiding conversations. You start avoiding social setups. So I think it's very important for everybody to feel safe, and safety has multiple aspects. I'm not only talking of the physical safety. We ensure that physically we are all safe. Today in Delhi, it's very cold, and we are ensuring that our offices are properly heated. I am talking of mental safety also. Creating a safe space where people are mentally feeling safe when they are around. I think it is very prominently coming out from Gen Zs, and that, this particular orientation helps in creating a safer space, because you're dealing with minority, you're also dealing with somebody that you don't know is part of that, and you dealing with larger community of the organization to create that. So I think these are some of the aspects that we see are directly linked to our employees who bring themselves out in terms of this space, and really talking of bringing in a true self of those, who are there. And I think the biggest part is that we can't, like I'm repeating, that we can't conform. We can't force them to conform. So it is very important that people who are and wherever they are truly in their space is important. I'm just moving ahead. In case there are any questions, I'm more than welcome to answer right now or later. So when I looked at some of the leaders talking, and typically when we looked at, a genre which is typically looking at organization standpoint, and we looked at organizations definitely when they are more inclusive for LGBTQAI, they become lesser political in their conversations. So that means the conversations are uh, away from what is right and what is wrong, what people feel, right? So I think uh, lesser political, more real self comes in, through conversations, and conversations are most important and very difficult, let me tell you, as a leader to control. I can control that I could have a gender neutral washrooms. I can control that I could have a, like I said, physical infrastructures. I can even control the policies and practices. But when it comes to conversations, I think I face a lot of difficulty in changing that, because people, when they are in their formal setups in organizations, it's very easy for people to be in a controlled environment. But let's talk of when people are in informal setup in the organizations, when people are in their office parties, when people are in informally interacting with each other over coffee tables, when there are conversations in lunchrooms happening. So those conversations, how do we control so that they become inclusive, is something, it really means a lot for the organization to create that. Again, lesser toxic relationships is something that, we feel that, relationships have a very, very high impact on longevity, productivity, and mental resilience of employees, and if relationships are toxic, they can really create that dent. And what LGBTQI inclusion means is creating those easy relationships, right? Where I value each other's promise. Like I promise to somebody and I deliver that, right? And I create that value in other person's life, professional and personal life. So I think those relationships also are largely governed with how we treat employees which are LGBTQI community specific, while we don't know who are there, who are not. Open communications really helps, and I'm talking of this from my own personal experiences. Conversations which were like Chinese whispers were very, very dangerous. I tried bringing in a lot of conversations through various town halls, various employee communication forums, and other forums into this, that we could bring in that change and impact on this. Just holding you for a minute. Sorry for the break. Ketki, can I continue?
Yes, yes.
Sorry. So I'm saying that open communication really helps me to bring in a better visibility to people about the issues which have been talked in pockets. Right. And open communication really helps easing out that pressure from the community members, is something which is really of relevance. Now, all these points are coming in from our interactions with various sets of people who are part of ERGs and who are part of, who may be part of the community, or who may be part of largely ally groups, that they bring in that. Uh, People feel more authentic and powerful at work is a very important phenomena. Now, it may appear as a jargon to say that authenticity at work is important, but when you look at how I could bring in my maximum potential if I am truly the way I am in the organization, is really powerful. So I bring in that particular change at work. Reduction in hierarchical differentiation also. So what people have felt that with LGBTQ inclusion, participation and collaboration dramatically goes up culturally, which helps in reducing the hierarchical differentiation. And people could, irrespective of their levels, come out and be able to collaborate with all sets of individuals. So you could have a lot of virtual groups and teams created in organizations which are more LGBTQI friendly. Again, I'm talking of higher productivity and efficiency in terms of what we bring on the table. So people, when they are authentic, they bring in their better self and culturally a better aligned space, which eventually leads to a better output. Uh, Cultural barriers could be removed, making it a safe space. Again, what I feel culturally strong is that I come from a particular sect in the society. I feel the way my parents felt. It's very difficult for me to change at the office. And for us to make people feel change, or is to create a safer space from them by removing their cultural barriers. So people come together the way organization feels. Otherwise, organization culture is a mix of what they bring in from traditional backgrounds. So we have to remove that baggage of their traditional backgrounds and make them feel that they are part of this workplace, which is our culture. So I think that is eventually, I would say that not as an HR leader, but when I looked at other leaderships talking about it, eventually employee turnovers goes down, because when people feel that there is an authentic treatment to a community, they really feel that they come together and make change in a powerful organization. The effective turnover rate goes down, because eventually when you see a lot of turnover happens for the people who start feeling uncomfortable and then move out eventually. So lower employee turnover is another sign, where we see that we could bring in a better self outside at work. Now I'm moving ahead. Now, as a leader, there is a journey which we have to cross, and we have to create that space which we take forward. And when we had a discussion with the Gen Zs and millennials, how do we create this space, right? It is very important. These are some of the thoughts that I had when I talked to my leadership. We had discussions with various, cohorts and groups. How do we create this change? We first try that we convert conversations into non-biased conversations, which is basis the examples that we quote, right? Uh, a typical example of a biasness, I mean, I broke that biasness is anybody who's from the community is either masculine or feminine as a cross gender. I think there was a very candid conversation around this. At a person who is who's associating oneself as a gay would be feminine. So anybody who was feminine was construed as having a sexual orientation and association with gay. So I think this is something which was very categorically called out. And so such biases exist in our brain, and we start treating people like that. So I think removing and converting conversations without biases is very, very important for us to move forward. Lot of short-term cohort programs could be organized where people can have non-biased conversations amongst them. Second is organization's ability to deal with sensitivity of LGBTQAI titles. People are really not clear, and I talked of some of the inclusive organizations where, people have really come out and called that, please help us explain what LGBTQAI means. How does one letter is different from others? How do we look at each letter separately or together, right? So I think these are the conversations which can help in creating more sensitivity towards each of these letters, how they associate in people's brains. Second important point is how do you bring in resilient, getting a business sighted approach. And I think classic example, when I bring in this topic for a discussion with my management, I create how this brings in a value for my organization. Because when you define a 3 years charter for an organization, it's very important that in that 3 years charter, in that strategic piece, this has to fall in place. This has to be there, right? So this has to be strategically present in the organizations as a business. So I think not keeping it very, very, I would say, number oriented, but at least it has to make sense for who you are and how you are adding value to the consumer, to whosoever you're serving. So I think it's very important business to bring business sighted approach. Uh, then we talk of building resilience for the community members, because now there are different ways that we looked at, and I had some ideas from typically millennials coming in that they would need mentors in the company. Company mentorship program really helped in bringing resilience to the members. People who needed psychological safety, they were connected with psychologists so that we could have people to help out where they had a mental resilience which was low. Again, resilience by the comfort of getting right, because it's very difficult in these scenarios to say right or wrong, who's right or who's wrong. It's very difficult, and you cannot call it out. It can't be a posh tool. It's not as simple as that. So it's very important that we call out that in terms of our sensitivity workshops, what are the exhibited behaviors which are more influential, which are exhibited behaviors which are less influential. I think some of those sensitivity workshops help in further bringing resilience and building resilience for the members, community members, and others. Then check on whether the employees would like to confirm whether it is employees or candidates, we had to actually sensitize our teams right from the recruitment team, because when you first touch base, the first person is touch base is the candidate that you meet. What kind of questions needs to be asked to the candidate? Do you actually forcefully ask people to confirm? And I think I'm very candidly talking that the first question comes in through marriage. If somebody is not married, you ask that why are you not married? How many kids you have? Such questions could be avoided, and then these questions lead to that conformance. If these are avoided, then you necessarily don't ask employees or candidates to conform necessarily. So these were some of the ways which I thought we could bring in a better change in the environment by bringing in a better, you know, uh, a collaboration amongst the team to create a better culture. So that was very, very important. So these are some of the ways we could enhance. So, Ketki, this is what I have in my store to present in terms of what we have done by dealing with various sects of employees, right? So I'm more than happy to address if I have any questions which could be managed.
Any questions? Oh, wow, this was indeed a very insightful session. Thank you once again, Vikas, for taking time out of your busy schedule and sharing your thoughts with our leaders. I'm confident that all the DNI members joining today have multiple takeaways from this session. I would also like to thank our audience for spending time out of their busy schedule to be here with us. Vikas, thank you so much for such a wonderful session.
Thank you, and wishing everybody the very best for the upcoming new year. I hope we can collaborate and make our cultures more inclusive and create a better workforce, which is more bind with us and which is more controlled with us and which is future ready. I think this is very important element which brings in a handy approach in creating a future ready organization.
Yes. Shailaja, do you have any question? You raised your hand, so.
No, in fact, I showed a thumbs up instead of raising it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining today. And thank you, Vikas, once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Merry